The main thing is if you want to be a homeless dude, you shouldn't be allowed to pitch a tent on the sidewalk. You know, the sidewalks are for regular people that want to walk and do stuff. You want to take your dog out. You want to get somewhere. You want to get on a bike or something, go to work, you know, do what you want to do. It shouldn't be for you to put a tent up there and make it impassable for me to go by because your drug needles and your drug habits are doodling in the street and all that kind of stuff should not be allowed. If you can't house yourself, you know, you don't have any housing for yourself, you can, and you want to be in a tent somewhere, then you should go out of the city limits and do that. You know, they used to banish people. You know, if you can't act within the confines of society, then you need to go, period. You know, let me know what you think about that. And I'm just saying the us and them mentality, but I'm telling you, you got these people doing this stuff for miles in homeless shelters and tents and stuff like that where parts of the city become unusable. You can't go down there like late at night and go walk your dog, you know, because these people are an element, unpredictable element. You don't know what's going on. You've seen all these reports of these homeless people, you know, defecating in buckets and throwing it on regular people, you know, to get their anger at the system out on you. And you shouldn't be forced to live with that. I'm trying to talk fast. The first time I did this was like 30 minutes me talking and flat. So comment what you think on this. So here's what I'm thinking. Here's what I'm proposing. Instead of building these lavish buildings and putting people up in hotels and all that kind of mess, you know, stupid stuff that people doing, you know, because there are too many people stealing out of the system, and a thief recognizes thieves. You know, I see the politicians, they all line in their pockets, they getting their buddies, getting kickbacks and all this kind of stuff. Ooh, the homeless industrial complex, spending billions of dollars and ain't getting nothing done. This is what I'm proposing. I'm proposing this. You build something like a parking structure. It's built of concrete, you know, and if you're homeless, you're unable to house yourself, you don't have anywhere to sleep and be at, this is where you have to go. Not all day, but this is where you have to go. First of all, homeless people need to learn how to travel light, and this facility will help them do that. You know, you're not allowed to camp at the street. You want to go camp out there and be a wild person, leave the city limits and go do that. Go out in the unincorporated areas and go do that to your heart's content, you know. But if you want to be in the city, you want to be around all the stuff to where you want to be at, this is where you're going to live, you know. If not, severe penalties. You know, I'm talking about severe, real penalties where they catch you homeless and out on the street. You know, they're going to snatch you up. They're going to put you out in a place like Slab City or drive you out to the end of city limits and let you out over there. You go over there, deal with what you got to deal with, you know. So that way the regular people can live their regular lives and be cool, you know. And, you know, we'll get into the other reasons for this. And if you don't like this idea, let me know. Comment below what you would do that would fix this. Because I know right now what they doing now ain't working. You got too many of these fools out on the street doing all kinds of irregular, crazy stuff. You can't have that crap. So here, you have a facility like this. On the inside, you'd have a check-in. And what's cool about this facility here is you would have paramedics that would be stationed there. So all your drug addicts have fallen out. You don't have ambulances running all up and down town trying to find this homeless guy, that homeless woman, this other fool, this OD. They're all in one place. You know, to put it like this, and you have security guards there where they're allowed to use some physical force, you know, to make sure that you comply. And we will find those people that shouldn't be cops. We're gonna put them there, you know. But don't even start me on that. You can be nice if you want to, but I'm saying I'm just being real. The building don't got to look this ugly. You could paint it, you could do all kinds of stuff, but this is just a general idea. You build a building like this out of concrete, so that way, if somebody starts a fire, you know, you don't burn the whole facility down. People can get out and they can fix what they got to fix. You know, everybody would get a slip like this, like the parking area thing, looking things. You put all your crap in there. You know, you get a little slip like this, and you have access to showers and toilets and stuff like that can be hosed out because these people is filthy and nasty. You know, and you see that over here, you see the windows like this, it's open like this. So if you're in California, you know, you ain't getting too much going on. They gotta have tents and stuff like that, you know. So this is what it would look like when it's full. You put the people in there like this, and you do it in tiers. You know, people that can be housed with people will have, you know, area like this. You know, for the criminally insane, they're going to be put up somewhere else. You know, for the people that just want to be nasty and filthy and dirty, they got their own spot. You know, you basically put it in tiers. You know, and then you can ventilate this place real easy. You may have a rule that everybody's got to get up every day and come off the floor. Anything like that. You know, so they can put all their crap here. And for the people that don't travel light, if your stuff don't fit in this thing here, then all your stuff is forfeit. What are you homeless for and got 5, 6 shopping carts worth of crap going down the street? You got all these things that you can't even plug in because you ain't got a house to plug them into. I'm sorry, that's forfeit. You know what? You don't need to have that. I'm sorry, if you can't help, you can't care for yourself. Now we have to care for you, and this is what it is. This is not freedom. Okay, good. Get out of the city limits. You want to live like trash and do all that old kind of crazy stuff. You live outside the city limits, and that's cool. You don't get to get every Tom, Dick, and Harry that's just living in the city. You get to inconvenience them with driving down the street. You out there with a sign begging for money, hitting people up, all that. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. You can pretend, I want to help the homeless. Bull crap. This is where the politicians are getting it wrong. Look, you can't afford to house yourself. You can't afford to care for yourself. Now the state has to take you over. Just like they do kids, when they do the whole kids, when they take you over for the state and all that stuff, same thing. And the building don't got to look ugly like this. I'm trying to get through it quickly, so you have to excuse me for me doing some fast talking, but the building ain't got to look like this. But this is what it should look like, basically. But then for the people, I don't want to see this ugly building. Fine, we'll put a facade on the front of it. Make it look like an office building. Spend a little bit more money just on the outside shell, so it kind of blends into the neighborhood. Pick the colors that match your community, and have it look like this. And the thing is, you could air it out. You got the things up here where you can do the whole elevator thing here, where you have and you don't use expensive elevators. Use freight elevators. This ain't about luxury. This is about utility. So you can put these people up here and house them over there. Hey, people that want to go to work and stuff like that, they're going to have a shower. They're going to have some place where they can clean up and they can come out of this building looking good, feeling all right and go to a job. And people that ain't going to do no job, they're going to sit there and soak up the welfare and all that kind of stuff. They can get their mail here. So they have a mailing address, and all that kind of stuff. So that makes everything simple. This is just common sense. I'm just a street dude and figured this out, For all these people that are these educated fools that are running the government and everything like that, maybe you could take something like this and call this the Gavin Newsom Home for the Homeless. Since he caused all these people to be homeless and lose their jobs and stuff like that, why not name this building after him? What you think about that? Share this with people that talk about the homeless and stuff like that and tell me what you think. And if you hate it, tell me why you hate it and explain to me what you would do different that would work better than this.